If there's something that I put top of my priority list every single day, it would be sleep. And I think you all know we need to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night to remain healthy, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The problem is so many of us have either a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep. Well, I think I have an answer for you. The answer is Tennessee. They are a CBD company. And let me tell you something, I only use the best. I love this company because they have found not just CBD, but also CBDA from the hemp plant is even more highly effective. They are a university developed product, and the team of chemists and biologists discovered this formula. They have a full range of product types that allow you to find the product that's right for you. They have topical solutions like lotions, salves, and a sports stick. They have soft gels, tinctures, and even drink concentrates. The thing that I love most about this company is that they offer a satisfaction guarantee. So try their products for 30 days. And if you don't love them, they will give you a full refund. You have nothing to lose. Go to Tennessee.com and use code ADULT to get 50% off at checkout. That's TANASI.com and get 50% off of your first order with promo code ADULT. Hi, I'm Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I am Michelle Chalfant. Delighted to be here with you today. Happy November, everybody. We've got a guest on today that was absolutely brilliant, I have to say. Sarah Kamoto is an expert in high conflict co-parenting and narcissistic abuse. Let me just tell you something. Over the course of 20 some years in private practice, I can't tell you the number of people that would come in and had no idea that they were in emotionally abusive relationships. I really lost count over the years. And when we would get into it in session, they would be in shock about it. So I knew I wanted to have Sarah on to talk about that, but also some questions that we've gotten over the years. And I had a lot of clients like this too. But how do you co-parent with someone that is emotionally abusive or narcissistic? Like, how do you do that? That can be so incredibly tricky. And Sarah and I, boy, did we open up the door on this one. I asked her so many of the questions that you all have written in about and asked me personally about. I really think you're going to love the show. Sarah is a wealth of information, but I love that we talked about not only the common signs that you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, but also the dynamics between narcissists and their adult children. We got into the grieving process that happens when recognizing that you are in an abusive relationship. And I think you know what I'm talking about when I say, and I just think about so many of my clients that would say to me, like, how did I get here? Where did I go wrong? There's a lot of beating up on self and just in total disbelief over how they arrived at where they are today. And then there has to be a grieving process. We talked all about that. She talked about how do you date after you end the relationship and you're going out in the world, because of course we're worried that we're going to attract the same kind of person in. So how do you not do that again? And I really always enjoy asking this question. Can a narcissist change? We talked about the difficulties of parenting with a narcissistic abusive ex partner. And this is a really tricky one. How do you parent and heal while dealing with your ex all at the same time? It's a hard one. And Sarah got into it. The reason I loved having her on is because she's walked the walk. You're going to hear all about Sarah's story in a moment, but she's walked this walk and gotten to the other side of it, right? She knows how to coach other people because she's done it. So when you think about your own life, whatever it is that you've walked through, really, it's our own stories that help us to become advocates for others and leaders for others. So I want to ask you this question. When you think about your life, do you have your own story? And the answer is yes. We all have a story as far as how we got to be who we are today. And here's the thing. Have you ever realized that your story can empower other humans? The only reason I can sit here on this podcast and talk to you so much about self-worth, self-hatred, and self-love, codependency, boundary issues, all the things that I talk about, you guys, the only reason that I can talk to you about it is because I've walked that walk and I've gotten to the other side of it. And I share this with you because I want to let you know that if you're somebody that feels a call or a passion to help others heal and transform their lives, because you've done it too, then I want you to please head over to theadultchair.com/certification, because I want to talk to you about becoming an adult chair coach. You are the exact person that I'm looking for to come join our mission of healing this world. Our world needs us to get out there and share our stories. And if you feel that inside of you, a burning desire to do that, come join us. The doors are open right now. And I want to talk to you because I want you to join an army of us that is going to heal this planet. That is our mission. So theadultchair.com/certification, check it out. And please let us know if you'd like to set up a call and talk to us about how you can participate in healing this planet. No experience necessary. I will teach you everything you need to know. We will help you set up a business to get you out there and start your own business and heal this planet with us and make money as you're doing it. Okay, let me tell you about Sarah Kamoto. She's an expert in high conflict co-parenting and narcissistic abuse. She's also the founder of Narc Proof and Thriving. Sarah's life suddenly changed when she found herself in an abusive marriage. She then took her daughter and her life back and embarked on a personal journey of discovery, research, and healing. Since then, Sarah has helped thousands of victims and survivors by raising awareness and educating them on narcissistic abuse. She's created a 3-step signature system to help women co-parent their high conflict ex by protecting their energy, using effective communication, and protecting their children. She's transferred her own life from single parent with no job to a healthy, loving, blended family with a partner that also supports her vision to help people thrive despite having a high conflict ex to contend with. Sarah works with parents who are victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse and have already gone through separation or divorce, but still have to navigate the challenges of co-parenting with their high conflict ex. It is with great pleasure that I welcome to the show, Sarah Kamoto. So welcome to the Adult Chair, Sarah Kamoto.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I know we were just talking about how I found you on Instagram like a year ago. I hunted you down. I was like, you must be on the show. I love chatting with people that, with any specialty, I should say, but you have a very specific specialty. Tell us what that is.
Yes, so it is high conflict co-parenting. So I always say I know nothing about co-parenting because that requires two emotionally healthy individuals who are there for the best interest of the children. I know nothing about that, but I know about high conflict co-parenting when there's somebody who is out to cause conflict, derail you, mess up your life, mess up your schedule. And they could be some of the narcissistic traits, emotionally abusive, difficult, toxic, whatever it is. If it's
Mm.
less than an easy relationship, then it's high conflict.
Well,
Yeah.
and I really thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. It's very important work. So we're going to start out just very basic. I would love just to talk about for people that might not have children. We're going to get there, but I want to start out with
Mm,
some of the basics. I want to talk to you a little bit about just what narcissistic abuse or emotional abuse even is. But before I ask you that question, can you tell us a little bit about your story? Because I love hearing how people kind of stumble into their work. Because what I found is, even with myself, we go out into the world and we talk about what we know best. So, how did
mm.
you find this work, or how did the work find you, I should say?
Yeah, well, I guess it found me because of my own personal experience and kind of being in that pit, finding myself in a pit in a marriage that
Mhm.
I found out was emotionally abusive, narcissistic, whatever you want to call it. I didn't really hold on to titles. I just knew something wasn't right. And we shared a child, and it was a very difficult situation. I felt like I was losing who I was as a person. And then I shared something in my mum's group. It's like an online mum's group, and somebody said something about, "Oh, that sounds very manipulative, very controlling." I started googling, and then it just all blew up from there. Basically, like most people, that's your experience. Although, what may be different about me is I didn't have that. Some people, or I guess most people, have that denial kind of phase of, maybe not. I was just like, no, this sounds just like this experience that I'm going through, and I need to get out.
Mm,
And yeah, I just kind of planned my exit. Of course, summarizing, but it wasn't an easy exit, especially when you have a young child. But I planned it, took a few months to plan, and then just got myself out of there. And then went on this like deep dive to work on myself, understand what I was experiencing, all the ups and downs of healing. And I was very diligent with it because I knew that I'd betrayed myself by being in that situation. And not that it was my fault, but, they notoriously go for people who are kind, caring, compassionate, empathic people. And they kind of basically, I mean, there's no nice way to say it, try to destroy who you are as a person.
mm,
um, through whatever means they pick and choose. I mean, they're all individuals, but there are patterns to behavior.
mhm,
And I didn't really have that denial. I was just like, no, I'm never going to betray myself again. So I kind of went on a quest to work on myself, do that tough, gritty, dirty work of healing.
mhm,
Um, it's not pretty, but I'm I feel, well, I am stronger for it because I now have to, I'm in a high conflict co-parenting situation, but I say I have many high conflict co-parenting partners because I help my clients. I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have my kind of ship sorted. So I
mhm.
kind of kept this person on the outside. I have this safe distance buffer. I protect myself. I protect my child, and it's not like they go away, but I'm rock solid. And that's what I kind of teach my clients: kind of get
Mm.
solid from your core, build up the layers, have this protective dome, and they're on the outside. They don't penetrate your home, they don't penetrate your thoughts. They're
Ooh,
just over there in the corner.
what a powerful visual. I love that. I love
Mm,
that. I can see like this dome, and yeah, then they don't penetrate it. And I can't
yeah,
wait. We're going to get there because I have had so many clients over the years that have been in this situation where they are, trying to leave and the children are involved, and what are they supposed to, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult.
it
So
is.
I want to start out with I'm thinking of someone that might be listening to the show and they're wondering what's going on in my relationship. So what are some signs? What are some things, like common things that someone might be noticing, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're thinking, maybe it's me. Something's wrong with
Mhm.
me, and then this is what I used to hear. And please tell me what you hear, but there must be something I'm doing wrong. Or, we rarely seem to look at the other person. We try to fix ourselves and let's go do
Yeah.
our own healing work because that'll help the marriage or the relationship that we're in. But what are some signs that we are in an abusive, emotionally abusive or narcissistic abusive, which to me is the same,
Yeah.
in the same kind of thing? What are some signs? What are some things that people could be looking for?
So if you, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, the benchmark gets moved. I mean, that's the big one. So you feel like you're trying, racking your brain for maybe if I do this, they'll be happier. Maybe if I do that, things will be better. And it's like you're putting in a lot of effort, but nothing is really changing. The other person is still unhappy with you, or still saying you don't love me enough, or you don't do enough, and you just end up feeling like you are not enough. And that I think stems from you also feel like that anyway
Mm,
on some level, and they're just reinforcing it. So of course it's natural to look within and wonder, okay, what am I doing wrong? So you're always to blame for the problems. That's one big sign.
mm,
No matter how much you try, how much you do, it's never enough. The benchmark gets moved. I mean, I remember one time I was on the phone to a very good friend of mine, and she was like, "Well, what is this other person doing? Why are you blaming yourself?" And I couldn't see how it could possibly. I wasn't even looking at the other person. Now looking back, I mean, it's like blaringly obvious. But it's where you feel like, yeah, you're not enough. You're always to blame. No matter what you try, it's never good enough. It doesn't like have to be so obvious, like they're verbally abusing you. Like there are no loud arguments in my situation personally. So it is undetectable. You just think domestic abuse is physical abuse. That's all you know it to be. Or you feel like, maybe you don't love them enough. And how can I prove to this person that I love them? If they're saying or accusing you of not loving them enough or not doing enough. But I think if you feel like something is off and you keep trying and the other person doesn't seem to be trying, there's like an imbalance. Like it's like they're telling you off and you're the child, like they're the parent, you're the child. That kind of dynamic.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, you only realize what you've experienced after the fact because when you're in it, you can't really see. It's very hard to have that bird's eye view of your situation. But when people come to me, I always say, well, if you found my page, you've been looking at certain things that have brought you here. If everything was fine, you would have no reason to be here because it's an obscure topic. It's not something we all grow up knowing about.
Mm.
It's only unfortunately when you've been through it or you've been researching, it all seems to make sense. But other people who have no knowledge of this, it's like they're kind of the lucky ones because you can't even imagine or even believe there are people out there who will say they love you, yet treat you so terribly.
Mm. Thank you for that. That was
Yeah.
great.
Mm.
Um, they don't take responsibility. They don't apologize.
No
Um,
accountability.
yeah, it's always your fault.
Uh,
Yeah, that's really important. But they don't ever take responsibility and they blame you for everything. It's always your fault. That's big. That's big. Um, what about I'm thinking about people that might have parents even that are abusive and they don't know it. And again,
yeah.
I've worked with so many clients that say, it must be me. I'm not good enough. So
Hmm.
what is that? Does that, and that is true also for parents, but is there anything else you want to add to the parent child relationship? And I'm thinking, of course, of adult children, with their adult
Mm.
parents, but what does that look like?
Well, a lot of the time, because they are parents, we're taught to love and respect our parents no matter what. And you will, as an adult child of somebody like this, you're going to make excuses for them because it's how it's been for your whole life. If you are there at their every whim, doing what they want, saying what they want, and behaving in a certain way, people pleaser, they are very happy with you. If you try and set a boundary, you will hear about it. You'll have things thrown in your face. You
Mm,
don't love me. Your
mhm,
sister or your brother is this. Why can't you be more like them? So you're kind of programmed and trained to be a certain way. And usually, if you've had a romantic relationship with somebody of that nature, if you trace it back, there was someone who was prominent in your life who was not necessarily a narcissist, but kind of treated you in a very similar way.
Mm.
If you kind of keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and you'll find that, yeah, one parent was maybe of that nature, who was very demanding of you and very loving if you were in this little box, and then complete 180 if you ever set a boundary or said no to them, or were less than perfect, or what they perceived as perfect.
Mm.
And
Wow.
it's really hard.
So hard. So hard. I agree. So the question is, once we recognize that, wow, this sounds like it might be me, or I'm in this kind of relationship. What do we do next? Like, okay, so now what?
Well, I always say to people, I kind of give them the two options because, like, I can't tell people to leave. You have to be ready,
Mm-hmm.
so that you own the decision and you are fully in your power to do that, even despite the fear, because it's a scary time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you share children or not, it's a very uh, high, high emotional kind of place to be in, because even though it's a difficult situation to be in, you don't trust that, because so much has gone on within the relationship. You don't trust that you're making the right decision. Like, what if I just try one last time? Things might be better, then everything will be great again. Or what if they do this if I leave? What if that? But it really is as simple. I mean, it's hard, but it's as simple as, okay, can I put up with another 6 months of this, another 6 years of this? Is this what I
Mm.
want for me? Is this what I want for my children? If the answer is no, because it's unsustainable to stay. I mean, I know a lot of people do stay, especially those who are maybe in their 50s, 60s, and up, because it's a different generation. It's only now they're realizing what they experienced, but they do become a shell of themselves, unfortunately, because it's been, their whole adult life has been with this person, and it's become their norm,
And
which is very sad and hard.
it's so sad. And they are a
Mm.
shell because it's like over the years, their self-worth is just it's whittled away little by little by little by little. And then I think that's what I used to find is when I'd be working with clients and we would recognize, oh, this is what's going on. You're in a relationship with an emotionally abusive person. Well, they'd been in the relationship for 10, 15, 20 years. And
Yeah,
they were like a shell. So we do a lot of rebuilding of their self-worth and their identity. They'd be so lost, but it's not a fast process of saying, okay, I'm leaving next week. Like you
yeah,
don't, you feel disempowered and hopeless. And do you find that, because this happened with a lot of my clients, there's a lot of that self how do I say, they beat up on themselves. Like, why did I do this? How did I make this mistake? Why would
yeah,
I choose someone like this? What's wrong with me? Which isn't that just part of, I guess, the grieving process or the process of just what we go through when we have this realization? Is that pretty common?
yeah. Yes, it is. And it's like, because you're reconciling your experience and then
Mhm.
you're beating up on yourself like, God, was I that stupid? How did I not see? How did
Yeah.
I pick this person? You might have had friends and family who kind of said some things over the years, but you kind of brushed it off and, ignored it and buried your head in the sand. But a lot of people spend a lot of time and energy feeling bad and kicking themselves. It's like, it's not you. These people have been operating in this way their whole lives.
Mhm.
This is their default setting. They
Mhm.
had to be this person in order for you to stay. They had to mold themselves into this person.
Yeah.
And it's not like somebody hit you and then it's very definitive. That I was hit. It's a slow erosion, and very insidious. And it's like you have a light, and then it's still there, but it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And when you're in it, there is no opportunity to build yourself up because you're constantly in this um, battle. I guess it's like this vortex of toxicity that is your normal life,
Mhm.
and you forget, who am I? Like,
Yeah.
what do I want?
Yeah. And
Mm.
it's forgotten. Like we don't remember who we
Yeah.
are. What do you feel that healthy people attract emotionally abusive people?
Ooh,
I know. How's that for
well,
a question? Because I get asked this
no,
question, so I'm asking you, the expert.
I would say, like, nobody wants to hear this, but on some level, like for me personally, I'll just talk about myself. I thought I loved myself. I thought I loved and respected myself. I had a good
Mhm.
job, good set of friends, good life. But, and not to put blame on anyone, but there were things about me that didn't nip this in the bud, that didn't see the red flags, that brushed everything under the carpet in the hopes that everything would just suddenly get better because they're, these people aren't awful all the time. Otherwise, we would never marry
Right,
them and be
right.
in relationships with them and choose to have children with them. But after doing the work, I realized that I couldn't have had the self love if I allowed someone to uh, treat me in this way without setting my own boundaries. I mean, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't even know what they were. I just thought you just do everything for everyone else, and what you want is not a question. Um, so yes, I don't think emotionally healthy people end up in these relationships. You only become emotionally healthy when you've been forced to do the work,
Mm,
I think.
mhm,
And then other people who maybe aren't emotionally healthy, they've been lucky enough to just meet partners who are maybe on par with them and just, quote unquote normal,
mm,
not abusive.
yeah.
Because I know now, because of the work that I've done, and when my clients do the work, it becomes impossible to associate with people like that
Mhm,
because your spidey senses are up. If anything seems off, you act on it. You don't pursue or continue, and you're very comfortable in your decisions when you set boundaries.
mm.
And you don't have fear, there's no guilt. It's like, no, this doesn't feel right. I'm just going to take myself out of the equation. And if they don't like it, then it's evidence and proof to you that these boundaries needed to be set. And I was very within my right to end this or cut this off.
So I have a question for you. So when you did
Mm.
your personal work after your divorce, right? So you got divorced and then you did your personal work. You took a deep dive, right? So then when I'm going to make a guess, you started dating after or
Well, yes,
what was
kind.
that look all about?
Yes, I mean, I have a partner now, but yes, it was probably about a year after because I thought I'm very
Yeah.
comfortable sitting on the couch every night with my
Yeah.
cup of tea,
Yeah.
and my shows, just being very insular. I'm at peace. But I thought, no, I don't want to be comfortable in this place.
Yeah.
I would like a partner. I have a lot of love to give. I have a lot to offer in a relationship, and I enjoy relationships. I like being in a relationship,
Yeah.
as much as I enjoy my own time. So I did try for a little bit, and it was, yeah, I wasn't ready, and also there's all kinds of weird people around online, especially.
Oh yeah. Well, here's my question because this happens with people, right? Did you date anyone that made you feel like there was some red flags? In other words,
Yes,
I'm wondering, did you attract anyone that was that could have been emotionally abusive? And were you able to, because you did your personal work, and I think that's key, were you able to sort of sniff them out and be like, hold on, I'm recognizing something feels off. Were you able to do that?
yes,
You were.
I
That's
was,
beautiful.
and that was my sign that I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I think it's the continual journey of healing. Like we're always, well, my perception is we're always healing, always evolving and growing and going deeper and deeper and deeper. But that was my sign to me because they were just, yeah, unease. I felt uneasy. I felt like the person wasn't. I'm not saying that they were emotionally abusive, but lying to me. And lying is a
Yeah.
pet peeve. It's a pet peeve, and when you know people are lying, it you can't ignore it. Whereas before, I might have swept it under the carpet and ignored it, but I knew there were some lies. I know the not very big things. So if you're lying to me about that, you're lying to me about other things. So I kind of nipped it in the bud. But it was a very emotional time because I felt like I was triggered back to that place and
Mhm.
spiraling. But I was able to recognize it and think, oh no, this doesn't feel right, and this person
Mm.
is lying to me. And I didn't give them opportunity to I didn't say, "Are you lying to me about XYZ?" It's just I trusted myself with my feeling that this person is lying, something doesn't add up. I'm done.
So you
I'm
had,
tapping out of this.
I'm wondering how much tolerance you had for that kind of thing. It sounds like zero tolerance, like you were able to notice and zero tolerance for it, correct?
Yes, and it needs to be zero tolerance. I mean, you can test these things out, you can continue, but it's your emotional energy that you're putting on the line and
Mhm.
your time. And
Okay.
especially when you're a parent, you don't have a lot of time to waste with time wasters. But it's realizing your worth as well alongside that. Like, I deserve more, I deserve better, and I just made a promise to myself that I would never betray myself like I did before. I
Mm,
would never, not that I was blaming myself, but had I not gone against my better judgment and not trusted my gut instincts, this all wouldn't have happened.
mm.
I would have just, yeah, a few weeks in or even months, the red flags were all there. When you look back and you do kind of like an assessment, it's like they're all there. It's just that we get swept up in the romance and the fairy tale and the dream we're sold because it's what we
Yeah.
want so much.
And you just ignore them because it's like you'd rather have that, fairy tale romance, right? And no, I want that. I don't want to see all the bad things that I'm noticing
Mm,
or the little things that I'm noticing. It's no big deal, right? And we just sweep it under the carpet.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So let me ask you this question. So when someone is in a relationship with an abusive person or a narcissist, again, same thing in my opinion, but do you let them know, like, you're treating me, you're a narcissist, you're an abusive person, you're controlling, you're manipulative? What's your opinion on that?
People have different opinions on this, but I think it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of your energy, and all it does is it allows the person to throw it back in your face because they will when they have. It just
Mhm.
happens. I'm waiting for someone to say they've said that, and the person didn't throw it back in their face. It just doesn't happen. So, my question to people who want to, well, why can't I just say that he's this? Why can't I just tell him?
Yeah.
Because this person is just going to project that onto you. And because you are too close, you're not going to see what they're doing. And
Mhm.
what is it going to serve you to tell them what you think they are? Isn't the treatment enough? Isn't the fact that you want more and you deserve more enough? And this person isn't going to give that to you because they've shown you what they can offer.
Mm.
It's very hard when people are, maybe trauma bonded and, in love, and the fact that he is great. I mean, he or she, whoever, they
Mhm.
can be great sometimes. It's like, yeah, but that is for their agenda because they wear a mask, and that's why in public, especially if they're covert, they can be amazing and everyone's going to love them and very charming. Behind closed doors, you get to see the true them, the monster,
Mhm.
the silences. Silent treatment is also something that perpetuates the idea that you have done something wrong, especially if they play the mind games of, if you ask them, what's wrong? Have I said something? Have I done something? And they're like, no, everything's fine. It messes with your psychology. It really
Mhm.
messes with your head, especially if you're feeling insecure, especially if they're out there flirting with people in your face, and you're kind of trying to hold on to it's you're holding on to something that is just a lie that you can't see. You're
Yeah.
blinded.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think it's so hard when you got people around you that love this person,
Yes.
love them so much, and think you'd be insane forever leaving
Hmm.
them. What is wrong with you? It must be you. They're
Yes.
wonderful. It's like, no. But I think I like what you said, like, what's going on behind closed doors. You get to see their true self behind closed
Hmm.
doors. Um, and I think another indicator, if we go back to what we talked about in the beginning about the signs, if you say to somebody, hey, this feels emotionally abusive to me or narcissistic to me, if they get angry and reject that idea or project back on you, and that's a bit that's probably is another sign. Versus if someone were to say that to me, I would say, oh my gosh, like, what makes you think that? Maybe I am. I don't know. I want to get
Yeah.
curious because I want to work with that. where I think somebody that is would just throw it right back at you or gaslight or something like that. Would you agree?
Yes, exactly. And that's why so many people come to me and say, I've been looking, I've been called this, and I know that's not me, and I've been doing all these tests to see if I find the narcissist because that's what they call me. And it's like, no, yes, they are not able to look within because it's never them.
Yeah.
It's everyone else who is the problem, and they will hold on to that with everything. They
Mm,
will never go within. They are not self-aware. Everyone else is the problem, because they will. It's, I think, too painful, and they've been operating in this way for their whole lives. So
yeah.
it's their reality is this, and everyone else needs to change to fit that.
Okay, here's another question I get too is what is your belief on can a narcissist heal? Can they change? What's your opinion?
Anything's possible,
Hmm.
but from my understanding, why would they? When they get what they want, they get to operate how they are, they get to treat people how they do, and they get the outcomes they want. It's a lot easier just to switch victims
Hmm.
and move on to somebody else than to actually go and do that deep inner healing work. I mean, it's hard when you're on the receiving end to do
Right.
that work. So why would somebody who doesn't take accountability for their behavior and who they are as a person and cannot look within, why would they do that? Anything's possible. I'm sure there are some out there, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, who look at themselves and go within. I don't know of any really. I mean, they're not coming to me. They're not. I don't see any support groups for these people.
I'm wondering about I feel the same way as you. I think anything is possible. And for
Mm,
me, it boils down to how aware are you? Because it would seem that just like codependency, narcissism also is on a scale. So there are some people that are so unconsciously narcissistic. They have I don't think they know what they're doing, but they are controlling, manipulative gaslighters. And then there are, it's a scale. I mean, I think all humans have a little bit of narcissism in them, and then the scale slides up. So if you're somebody that is on the lower end and you have awareness, like, wow, I wonder if this is me. If someone has healthy curiosity and maybe even a little worry mixed in and says, maybe this is me, I don't know, let me go
mm,
seek out help. I have had a couple of clients like that, and we did some great work. I loved it because I was like, there you go. So that's been my experience. Now I don't see a lot of that, but I want to give
mm.
people hope. It seems like the more awareness, the more hope there is to actually heal, because then you want to do something to change. But if you
Yes.
blame, if once you pass, like if it's a scale of 0 to 5, after 2.5 on that scale, it's
Yes.
like there's not that much hope. But 0 to 2.5, like I've got hope for you. I've got hope that you can probably change.
I think that's true what you say. The only thing with that is the other people will then have hope that, okay, there's a possibility.
Mm,
So
mm-hmm.
it's a catch-22 kind of thing, and then they end up, staying in these situations longer. And it's like, if I just think if somebody has the ability to change and they want to change, they will.
Mm, yeah.
But it's just it needs to be down to them. And
Yeah.
why wait around for someone to become what you want them to be? Like life is too short. Like it really is too short. As cliche as that sounds, like I want to live a beautiful life. Everyone deserves to live a beautiful life. We're not here. We're put on this earth to be treated in this way and downtrodden and abused and made to feel less than. We
Mm-hmm.
need to be the best possible people, especially for our children. If our children are watching, we're their first teachers.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to find your motivation and your why, I think, to get out of it. Although, if you are, like you said, on the spectrum, or you think you are, and you're maybe the lower end, then yeah, sure. But don't have relationships. Don't, and not all people with narcissistic traits are abusive either. But again, I'm not hearing about those ones. I only hear about the abusive ones. I don't hear about the ones who have traits, but are not abusive or emotionally abusive to people.
Let's move into co-parenting.
Mm,
Oh my goodness. I just think about all the clients I had over the years. It was so difficult. because it seems like if you end a relationship with someone that is narcissistic, if you end that relationship, man, they will come after you until the end of time. Like it doesn't end. I don't care if they get remarried, they still want to punish you. If they're in another
Mhm.
relationship for 10 years, they still want to punish you and hate you and make you the bad person. How does somebody, and I have a feeling you're going to say self-work and personal work. Man, you got to build up your self-worth and do the, like you said, the dome with the bubble.
Yes.
What, let's start there because it starts with self, and then we're going to move into kids. Like, how do you co-parent with someone like this? Because it's virtually impossible. But I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, yes, this is the thing. Even if whether you left or whether they discarded you, they will still try and punish you. But especially if you were the one to call back, they dislike it, obviously, and they will punish you and try to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. So why it feels so overwhelming when you leave and you're divorced, maybe you have parenting orders in place, or maybe you're on the journey, it's because you're trying to parent, you're trying to heal, and you're trying to, co-parent with somebody who is high conflict. So it's overwhelming because you cannot focus on one in isolation. It's all happening at the same time. So it's really important to have that balance. And it depends on the age of your children as well, because if they're younger, then you do have more time to kind of focus on yourself and the co-parenting side of things, because the children aren't going to be coming home asking questions or triggering you with their behavior. If you have older children, uh, just prepare for it, because what you experience, your children will experience as well.
Mm,
It's a different relationship dynamic, but they will be gaslit, they will be denigrated, maybe triangulated between siblings. One will be the golden child, one will be, or maybe more than one will be the scapegoat child. And your children will experience it on a different level. And because they don't have the language, depending on their age, they will kind of act out or internalize what they're experiencing. So it's really important. What I teach my clients is you need to be able to hold that space for them. In order to do that, you need to become grounded yourself and learn how to self regulate so that you can help them when they are having these big emotions
mm,
or when they're having tantrums. Because in the other home, they have to be this little robot, and aren't allowed to be who they are. In
mm.
your home, you know, there's the assumption that you allow them to be their children, you love them, you care for them, you are there to look after their emotional health. The other parent isn't. So they will act out, they will have tantrums, but they'll be perfect to the other parent because that's how they have to be. Otherwise, they're gonna get it, and they know that on some level. They know if I behave this way, everything's gonna be fine. So come home to mum, and all hell breaks loose, and then you regulate them, you get them settled back into home, and they've got to go again. So it's this vicious cycle
Yeah.
of undoing and redoing. But what I always like tell my clients is you do have to parent 1,000 times harder, but it does become second nature if you're diligent about it. The other parent will always give you opportunities to teach your children, because they're going to come back and maybe ask you something or say something, and you can then teach them, okay, this is a better way to deal with XYZ, or I'm sorry you experienced that. You can validate their experiences, but once you know yourself and you've reconciled everything you've experienced as well.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Mm,
What happens when the child is at the narcissistic home? Okay. And that parent is really being verbally abusive or saying nasty things about their ex to the child and trying to,
mm,
turn the child on the mom or the dad or whoever the non-narcissistic parent is. That's hard. And that happens
yeah.
a lot where they're
Hmm.
poisoning their mind and the narcissist is turning that kid against the other parent. What do you do
Yeah.
about that? And again, I think it's age dependent, I would guess, but what do you do? Like, do you say daddy's lying or mom, what do you say to those people?
Yeah. So what I usually advise is, I mean, it depends on the age of the child. If they're coming home and sharing that with you, I mean, that's great because they feel comfortable. but they're
Mhm.
either coming to you accusing you of that, or they're coming to you questioning. So what I always advise my clients, and this is a big tip, is ask the child and you get them to think for themselves. Say, do you think mummy would say that? Have you ever heard me say or do that? What do you think?
Mm.
And they might say, I don't know, or they might sit with that for a bit. But if you get them to question and think for themselves, they can make their own decisions. Because if you start defending yourself and saying, well, just for example, daddy's lying, then
Mhm.
it's just you against them. And you are kind of, in the child's mind, just one against the other. There's no differentiation. So you need to differentiate who you are from who the other parent is. So
That's really good. Mm.
the other parent isn't asking the child what they think. The other parent is coaching the child and trying to fill their mind with lies, whereas you are trying to get the child to think critically and giving them the autonomy to kind of explore these things for themselves. So it's not you telling, it's you allowing them to think for themselves.
Oh, I love that. I love that because,
Mm,
yeah, that was my thought. Like, gosh, you're going to pin them against each other. Like, well, that
yes,
daddy's lying. No, mommy, it's like then the kid feels so overwhelmed. Like, I don't even know who to believe. And
yes.
what about like when, again, the narcissistic home, let's just say it's dad, says to the kid, if it weren't for mommy, we'd all be together as a big family.
Oh,
Yeah. What
yes.
about that one? I used to hear that from a lot of my clients. Like, and my clients would be like, what am I supposed to say to that? And.
Yes. Well, because in the movies, there's a mom and a dad and there's the children, everyone's happy, and that's how it's supposed to be in society.
Mm,
So, something I tell my clients, and this is to share with anyone who's asking you difficult questions, maybe family members, and I think this is age appropriate for anyone who can maybe four and up. Um, Mummy will say, I wasn't happy in that situation, and it wasn't healthy or safe for me to stay there
mm,
in that situation. So you can say it to friends and family who don't understand. It wasn't emotionally safe or healthy for me to stay in that situation. So you're not saying this person is abusive. You're not saying they're a
mm.
narcissist. It wasn't safe and happy. And when you're talking to a child and say, Mummy is now, I'm so happy. You see how happy I am? You know how happy I am. I'm always singing and dancing around the house or whatever it is. I'm really happy now. And it wasn't safe or healthy for me to stay there. So you don't say,
Like that.
Mummy, well, I I always say, like, let the other parent tell the child that they love them. Like, it's not up to
Mhm.
you to say, Mummy and Daddy love you, and we just live in separate homes. I just think that gives the wrong message. You can't speak for the other parent, just speak for
Mhm.
yourself. The child will feel it, and the
Mhm.
child will know that. So, yeah, Mummy's really happy now, and it wasn't emotionally healthy and safe for me to stay there. They're going to maybe have questions and say, when you're old enough to understand, I will share everything with you. But all you need to know now is I'm really happy and I love you. Something like that.
I
And the
like that.
child's happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because it
really like
satisfies their
that.
curiosity and it kind of shuts down the other parent. The other parent's going to be saying things and the child's going to be questioning, yeah, mum doesn't do that. She doesn't say those things. They're not going to say that to the other parent, but they will feel that themselves.
And what about so then at some age, at some point, do you tell the child, like when they're in their 20s or something, like the truth? Like, the reason I left dad is because he was a narcissist. Or do you find the kids just kind of figure it out on their own?
Um, I find that because I've had a few clients with older children, yeah, they find out on their own because they experience these behaviors. And especially if you've got the kind of relationship, and that's what we strive for, where they do come to you and share how they're feeling with the other parent,
Mm,
you can validate that and say, I'm really sorry you had to experience that. I've experienced the same. You don't have to say, your dad said that to me or I felt that way, but just say, I felt that way too. And I know how that feels. I'm really sorry you had to experience that
mm.
because it makes them feel like they're not alone because this experience is very isolating.
Yeah.
It's
I
not a
like how you're
normal
not
situation.
labeling dad. I like how you're not saying like, yeah,
Yeah.
mommy's this or daddy's a nurse. Like I like how you're being more
Mm.
neutral, but yet you're stating facts about how you
Yeah.
feel. Yeah, I love that. What about one more question for you? I know we're
Mm.
about at the end here. Um, I have so many questions for you. What about if you've got a child and the narcissistic parent has just really turned the child against, let's say I'm just going to use father, mom. So let's say the father that's a
Mm.
narcissist turned that kid against their mother, and the kid doesn't even want to see that mother anymore. Like won't even go over there
Yeah.
anymore. They hate the mom because of everything the dad has said. It's all the mom's fault. I've heard a lot of this story, and this makes me so sad. what advice would you give the mothers in this case?
It does happen, and it's when, that parent has completely brainwashed the child. And I have had clients like that. And as hard as it is, and it's easy for me to say because, I'm out of the situation, you really need to spend that time whilst the child doesn't want to have contact with you, forging yourself. I say forge yourself of something new, like build yourself up from your core, do your work as hard as it is, because
Mhm.
they will come back. Like, there is a woman in my group who has a friend who has a daughter who went for the dad because they were brainwashed. As soon as the daughter turned 18, she came
Mm,
back. It's not always going to be the case, but they will experience that parent. They will experience that parent, and that parent isn't actually parenting. That parent is just kind of holding the child as a pawn
mm,
and to punish you. But the child's experience, I mean, it depends how long they've been living with that other parent, with
mm.
the narcissistic parent, but they will experience it for themselves. And the hope is you do your work so that when the time comes when your child comes back, you're not starting from zero. You are stronger. You're there to hold them. You can help them maybe make sense of their own experience. So I'd see that as the training ground, but not lose hope,
I like,
as
again,
hard
we
as it is.
started out, yeah, that's hard. But I like that we started out the importance of doing personal work and we're ending same exact. It really
Yeah,
is about turning
starts
inward,
with you.
doing your work. Yeah. Yes. I love this.
And
Sarah, such
it's
good stuff.
hard because people say, what is this work? Like the word work. It's like it's different for everyone, but you really do have to go within and find your answers within yourself
Mhm.
and not look outside for validation on that, not look outside for the answers. I mean, I can help people on that journey, but you have to have the kind of intentional action steps in place to do that for yourself and make it a daily thing.
Do you, can I ask you a quick question? One more.
Mm, yeah,
What
yeah.
about kids what are the signs of when these kids and these teenagers start showing signs of narcissism because they're raised with a narcissist? Like what are two or three signs you see with teenagers and you go, uh-oh,
Mm.
they're
Well, it's
mimicking
when
a
they
parent that's a narcissist.
Yeah, well, they start using the same tactics they've seen work. They
Mm,
may have heard the dad say that to the mum, and they get the reaction they want, so they go and mimic that like a parrot to test the limits and to see if it works. I don't necessarily think it makes them a narcissist, but they may have narcissistic traits because they've grown up in that situation.
mm,
So, like I said before, parents are our first teachers. So we need to teach them and show them these these things that we miss out on, boundaries, how to self-regulate, how to validate yourself so that you're not looking outside for instruction on
mm,
how to be as a person. You think for yourself and you behave in a way that is in alignment with what your goals are.
that's really good.
But
And I
yeah,
would,
it's very difficult.
yeah, that's so hard. And then have empathy too, because you would think narcissists, no empathy. And when you start seeing your kid with no empathy, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
let's work on, they got to feel their emotions. We got to help them there. So
definitely,
gosh,
definitely.
Sarah, this is such great stuff. Thank you so much for being on today. Where would people find you and your beautiful work that you're putting out in the world?
Yeah, so they can go to Not Proof and Thriving on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. Or my website, it's just notproofandthriving.com. Um, I've got resources in the link to my bio. Also, dealing with third parties is a big one because nobody seems to know how to deal with these situations. And also, it's tempting to dump your story down and then people just stop listening. So, if you want people to help you, like lawyers, mediators, solicitors, or even explain your situation to a therapist, that resource will help with that because we just need to state facts and keep top line.
Mm,
So I've got resources there as well.
love that. And I will put all of those links right in the show notes for everybody that is interested. Thank you again. This was beautiful and so informative. And thank you for the work that
Thank
you're doing in
you.
the world. Really, it's so needed.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that show. I think Sarah is brilliant. She clearly knows so much about this much, much needed topic. And again, I want to remind you, if you also feel a passion or drive to join a movement of people that are here to change and heal this planet, then please come check out theadultchair.com/certification. We are wanting coaches that are ready to join a movement and feel that burning desire in their heart to change the world. I'm here on a mission, you guys. I want to heal this planet, and we need help doing it. So come join us. I will teach you everything that you need to know and how to grow a business. But more importantly, want to teach you how to heal other people. We've got you. We look forward to seeing you. The certification program starts this January. It's a 6-month program, 1 week in person, 6 months online. theadultchair.com/certification. I hope you all have a beautiful week. I will see you right here next week. It's my birthday week next week. Oh my goodness. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you next week right here in the Adult Chair.